Hey man, how you doing?
Peter, what do you think about my new set?
Are those Karen originals? I forgive
Those
me,
are
I don't know
Karen.
her last name, but
Mm-hmm.
uh
Those are Karen Lopez
Lopez.
originals. That's right. Yeah.
Beautiful. I love it, man. It's
Gotta
gorgeous.
gotta promote the fiance, the fiance's art.
Whoa.
Where's my ring though? That's what I want to know.
Ooh, where is your ring, Devin? You gotta
Why
make
is
that
that not a
official.
thing? She gets like an engagement ring, but then I just gotta walk around fucking my finger just raw dogging it, man. I'm like, come on, baby, put something on me, put a little piece of brass on me. How you doing, Pete?
Uh I'm doing pretty good. We have couple of semi-heavy topics we were gonna get into today, maybe some lighter
Yeah,
topics as well. But I think to start out with, I just want to indulge in the fact that we have better weather than basically anyone in the country right now, and, unless you're maybe in like South Florida, like everywhere on the news, unless it's like ice or some like tragedy, it's just about like the weather. And
mm-hmm.
I looked at New York weather this morning on my weather app, and it's like 18 degrees and
Mm-hmm.
snowing, and I'm just kind of like, oh, I'm so happy I'm in California right now.
I literally, I yelled up to my partner she was in the kind of in the bedroom in the mezzanine, and I was like, isn't it funny? Because I had the exact same thought this morning. Isn't it funny how everybody's always talking shit about California until until it's the only temperate place in the United States for 6 months out of the year? Like, no, I mean, I actually do become a little more calcified to people who don't like California as I get older, in the sense of like identifying with them, because, man, there are some things that when you become like an adult in California are positively draconian. But the weather is honestly worth paying for almost
It
anywhere in the
really
state.
is. Life always
Seriously.
kind of sucks for so
Yeah.
many normie reasons, but like if it's a sunny day outside, it's all kind of
Oh.
okay. You know what I mean? It's kind of okay. I was at a child's birthday party yesterday, and I was talking to a couple, and they just moved to Sacramento from Wisconsin and Minnesota like 2 years
Paradise to
ago,
them.
and we're like, "Oh,
Mm-hmm.
so what you doing here? Like, why here? That sort of thing." Is
Mm-hmm.
like, dude, like just the weather when it's freezing cold outside for 6 months out of the year, and there's snow, possibly 6 months out of the year. You can't, like, what do you do with a kid when you have to stay inside that long? Like, it's impossible. It's like, yeah, okay, that makes sense. It's pretty
My
good.
mom's in Montana, and she'll
Mhm.
just casually drop like it's 16 below right now. I'm like, I'm like, sister, that is fucking gulag in Siberia weather, man. I'm like, that's fucking,
Honestly, there's a level
that's
where I don't get it, man. I
that's
just
the
don't get it.
hinterlands of human habitability, man. Like, get the fuck out of there. She's going to Costa Rica for 3 months, man. So
Oh, good for
blessings.
her. Okay,
Yeah, she finally made
absolutely.
it, man. I feel like that's got to be like the one of the bucket list dreams for someone that grew up in like the 70s and 80s, is like take a motor home with your significant other across the country,
Ooh.
and or vacation in like Florida or Costa Rica or somewhere tropical for a couple months out of the year. I'm like, you did it. You did it, mom. You've arrived.
Since we're talking about places and weather and such, do you mind if I go off about Austin, Texas, just for a minute?
Oh, I'm very curious to hear your take on Austin. Is it pithy, or is it glow? What did you? Yeah, Pete, tell us why you were there.
Well, I had this scheme that okay, so I went to Austin to just go to like a small event.
Mm-hmm.
But I was gonna like, well, I've been looking for an excuse to go there forever, so just kind of like, why not now? Plane tickets are cheap. It's January.
Mm-hmm.
I was there for 3 nights, 4 days, and my scheme was that on the first day there, you and I would do a live pod, and we would do like this epic historic comparison of the Bay Area versus Austin as like the future of the tech hub. And I thought it would be funny to like do it there when I've been there for like 24 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Just when I was like, experiencing everything raw. Because you know what I mean?
Yeah,
When you
yeah.
first land
Real
someplace, you
gonzo
do like
journalism.
you soak it in a very strange way, and then like
Yeah, yeah.
but I was there for 4 days. By the fourth day, a lot of that illusion is kind of broken. You know what I mean? So I feel like we almost should have done it right then when I could have been just like, whoa, my vacation vibe was still setting in. Okay, but like, yeah, let me give you my highlights, my
Yeah,
surprises, and then I do want to do like a minute of just like comparing, contrasting with the Bay Area. Could be fun.
please.
But dude, the most surprising thing about Austin, Texas is that people are fit and kind of beautiful and young and like ambitious
Mm.
looking in a way that is
Mm.
not my experience of Texas or the South.
Interesting. Uh-huh.
Just the fact that people weren't, the average person there was like fit blew my mind. And I,
Joe Rogan hit that place like a nuclear bomb, and there's just like rings out from his club where like every single person has a sauna and a cold dip.
right. I think that might be it. So that, but I mean, like it's all like unhealthy food compared to California food. It's
Sure.
like a lot of it is kind of unhealthy. So I'm kind of like, what's going on, guys? But this also was kind of interesting is that the longer I was there and the closer I got into like Monday and Tuesday, the less fit people became. So I think that a lot of people might have been like me, kind of like they're on vacation, like from out of town. And so by the time I was
That's
walking
funny.
around on Tuesday, I was seeing a lot of people who had like that the gut thing that you kind of associate with the South and with
Mm-hmm.
Texas. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, okay. Aside from that, it is definitely a vibey young city. There's a lot going on, and it does still have kind of like what my expectation was, where there's like a lot of new shit juxtaposed with a lot of like old, like rustic, cool artsy Austin shit. And it's
Mm-hmm.
like totally, this was the coolest thing about it. It was completely just like juxtaposition. Like, here's a brand new skyscraper. Here's like a little shack on a dirt road, and they play music with like banjos and shit. Like, and it was like that, especially in East Austin. That
Cool.
was like actually the coolest vibe was East Austin, I think, where there was just like that juxtaposition was like very much in your face, like
Yeah.
hip new trendy store, and then like little shack looking place that's
Literal
been there
outhouse.
forever. Yeah. But everything was cool and like vibey.
Yeah.
And I hung out with a friend of the pod, my buddy Razib Khan, for a night, and it was kind of cool because we were at like this event. And he just happened to be there too. This thing I was going to,
Mm-hmm.
and afterwards we're like hanging out and like because we like hailed a Waymo and went to some bar downtown, stayed up till fucking 4 in the morning, just like chit chatting and talking. And
Burned it
he knew this
down.
this guy who was also there, who was he's like a writer for Joe. Tell me when I'm blank on his
Rogan.
name. No, not Joe Rogan. Joe. Wow, I am blanking on his name. But the guy who's like a founder of Palantir, uh, you know,
Okay.
you know, millionaire type of dude.
Yeah.
So we were just like hanging out at his place till 4 in the morning, just like chatting. I was like, okay, there's like weird shit going on. Things that like only happen in artsy cities were happening there, and so I was just kind of like, all right, this is cool. This is what's
All
going
the
on.
cities that are like proximal to fame, I feel like
Mhm.
have the same quality but in different dimensions. Where like in LA, you can run into a certain type of people that you just would never have access to anywhere else. And the same thing is true in San Francisco and in Nashville. And but it's like a different access point because yeah, you can
Mhm.
like anywhere that's proximal to power and fame like that. There's always like weird little cutty shit going on that somebody's spent their a small personal fortune making dope.
I think that is so true, Devin. That actually may be what was going to be one of my hot takes. But
Mm,
Joe Lonsdale, that's who he works for. Anyway,
the
there you
old
guys.
the of yeah the Lonsdales.
I think that you're totally right because you do sense that, like, that vibe that you get in LA of like,
Mm-hmm.
whoa, shit's going on. And at any
Mm-hmm.
little cafe, you're going to hear people, you're going to eavesdrop on people talking about like what
Doing
film they're
some
on. And you don't have to
really
like go out of your way
interesting,
to
yeah.
hear someone talking about like what film they're working on. It's
Right.
everywhere.
It's
And
everywhere,
in
yeah.
SF, same thing, but it's like, what app are you working on?
Tech stuff, yeah.
And then in Austin, it was the same thing. I saw people on their laptops working on like their apps.
Mm-hmm.
Met this guy who works for Joe Lonsdale, like et cetera, et cetera. I hang out with Razib Khan, who's like a startup guy. And yeah, there are very few places in the country where you see that. LA, SF, New York. I mean, I've never been to Chicago, but maybe Chicago. But it was there, man. And this is my. I'll just sum it up with this. I could rant a little bit more, but my hot take summary. I was so stoked about it, just in the sense that like sometimes I get very down on America. I'm like, this place
Mm-hmm.
blows.
No.
But like it's cool to see a place that was
Hey, got
doing
somebody
so
come.
well. That
You
was just
guys
like
catching this?
thriving.
CIA headquarters. Do you hear? You hearing this? He didn't want to be here. Get him out.
But do you know what I mean? Where you go someplace and we're like, well, I like, I've been clouded, like fog over my eyes with how like shitty this country is. But then like to see a
Yeah,
place
yeah,
like
yeah.
with fresh eyes, we're like, whoa, this is actually like, I'm kind of like, man, I hate to say it, like proud to be an American when you're in a place like this. It's just like, it just hits you. It's like, well, this is nowhere else in the world could like do this exact thing. And everything
Peter,
about it is kind
quiet
of good.
down. Quiet down. I'm in the Bay Area, dude. You can't say shit like that. if
Well,
my if my neighbors hear you say something like "I love America," I can't.
well, this is what I was partly going to say is that like there's this rivalry between Texas and California, right?
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
man, everything there was so Californian. A lot of the good shit there was so straight up a transplant from California culture. They weren't getting half that cool shit from
Brutal.
Louisiana's culture, right? Or Alabama's culture, or even Florida. Like it was all like LA culture or SF culture was like being imported there. And that's
Mm-hmm.
why it had like a lot of that vibe that I'm kind of talking about.
It's it's long been one of my, I mean, since I was in my early 20s and I was making trying to make a documentary, like the whole, it's for so long I felt like if Americans just did more intra country
Hmm.
traveling, this country would be so different at a granular systematic level. Like it really only takes going to one or two other places every couple years that you're not familiar with to you get a totally different feel for this country. And it's interesting because in Mexico, Mexican folks do that. They travel
Mm.
throughout the entire country. It's like intra-country tourism is huge. I think it's bigger than the tourism that comes from abroad because they just love being in different places, and it creates an energy and a cohesion, I think, for folks. And it's like, we need that to be kind of like a cultural. Some cultures have that built into their kind of framework, like, hey, like you need to go and kind of like spend some time in other parts of this place so that you can kind of be fully from here. And like there's something to that, man. You know, like going from Montana back to California, Nashville, you know, places, other places in the United States. It really like it makes you appreciate a lot what's going on in your neck of the woods, and also just that like, yeah, I mean, Karen said it this morning. She's like, most people are good people. You know, it's
Hmm.
realistically like whatever your narrative is about big groups of people as monoliths, like most individual people, I mean, honestly, a lot of people that have like repugnant political beliefs, like they're like taking care of family, you know, they're just like good folks trying to focus on what they're trying to focus on, you know, I mean, yeah, there's just there's a lot of beautiful people in this country. It is actually not a terrible, even though, like at a granular level, sometimes and at a systematic level, it can really beat you down, and it's kind of like built on expert mode. You know, still, man, it's like there's a lot of beauty here.
Yeah, maybe I'll sum up my Austin takes just to say that like I think that there definitely is a tech future there just based on the youth and the
Mm.
energy level. Like I think that there's definitely some
Oh, the
future
youth.
happening there. Yeah, and which is exciting. And I'm totally I think that California does need to work for its keep a little bit. It can't
Mm-hmm.
take for granted the youthful energy that it used to. But I will say
Truly.
California is just like insanely magnificently beautiful in a way that Texas
Mm-hmm.
is like insanely magnificently ugly.
Not, yeah.
And California doesn't have to work for that. And like again, that maybe is a little bit of a like it needs to start working again to
Well,
get its
California better
reputation
be
back up.
careful with these taxes and these prices, man, because it is, I mean, it is not an easy place to live in comparison to
They're
almost
building so
anywhere else.
much in Austin that rents are going down continually.
Right.
And like, dude, it's not like this is another thing that was crazy about like being there. It's not like, oh, there's the crane here or there. It's like they have wiped out like massive swaths of the downtown, like 4 block swaths by my hotel was like gone because they're just gonna like we're building new, man. And yeah, California would be like teeny tiny half a little
Uh-huh.
block, and then like they're
Yeah.
gonna do something there. But there's like, dude,
Take
like
10
four
years.
mega blocks gone. Um, and yeah, it's just obvious that they're building and they're doing shit, and like it's just not obvious that that's happening in Sacramento. You know, I always say is building some stuff. It's which is good, but not on the level that Austin is, and it's gonna. You can tell like it would be very easy to just move there. because you wouldn't struggle to
California is
find an
in
apartment.
California's in a little bit of a doom spiral with like the wages and cost of living kind of
Hmm.
like Ouroboros. Because the reason you can't build shit here is because it's so fucking expensive to build shit here.
The
And
regulations, yeah.
and the regulations too, to an extent, but like skilled labor is just
Yes.
really fucking expensive here in
Yeah.
a way that any other place that I've been, especially in the South. I mean, people do the job that I do for fucking like $22 an hour and they're stoked. You know what
Hmm.
I mean? And it's like here, it's if you want to get anything built, people are getting paid 40 to 150, sometimes $200 plus an hour for super specialized trades. And it's like, fuck, man, try to get a house built in California, dude, or apartment building or anything, like literally a shack, like millions,
Yeah.
millions.
Yeah. 100%. And hopefully some of that turns around a little bit with, because everybody's talking about how California has too many regulations, and like Mom Donnie's doing a good job of that in New York of getting rid of some regulations.
Mom Donnie.
I don't know. I think that the millennial push towards making shit more affordable is gonna kick in at some level, but
Sure.
capital's never
Well,
gonna be cheap again like it was previously. And I don't know.
millennials are
Like,
getting restless, Pete.
yeah, we're getting
Millennials are getting
restless.
we're getting restless. We were a very patient generation. I feel like we heard a lot of the pay your dues conversation and took it in, unfortunately, as propaganda. And I think a lot of us kind of were on our heels for a long time, but it's funny because I'm 36. How old are you, Pete?
40.
40.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny because I think for a lot of the time, there wasn't like a coherent brand identity for our generation. It was just kind of like this, like, like the boomers called us one thing, and then like the kids underneath us kind of like maybe see us as like some bulwark against like, the top down power. But like, I feel like, millennials are starting to develop like a pretty interesting identity, like kind of like semi radicalized, because there's just so many things that we've been patiently suffering. And like
Yes.
every
Yeah.
group of millennials has like is kind of doing the like, like bridging the gap, like just like taking the current, electrical shit. And I think it's starting to activate. It's People are starting to get activated, man.
Okay, well, let's use that as a pivot to talk about ice. Okay,
Oh,
so man, there's so many different ways that we could talk about the ice
yeah.
situation and scenario, but let's jump in with your take about millennials, because that actually is kind of interesting. I saw a tweet about this morning,
Uh-huh.
and this is an innocuous lead into the situation about how, like,
Yeah.
okay, so Renee Good
Yeah.
and Alex Preddy, they were both, I think, like 37. They were both
Yeah.
like solid millennials, like
Millennials, yeah.
basically our age.
Yeah.
And someone was tweeting, and there's something to this, I think, that like it's not shocking that it's millennials who are
It's not.
randomly, like, because we are the most present population when you go out to like a protest. It's like
Oh yeah.
millennials. And like you were saying, we're kind of like fed up with a lot of shit.
Oh yeah.
Man, I don't even know where to start with the ice thing, actually. Oh God. The
I
second I
think
start thinking about it, it actually makes me just so depressed.
no,
uh
100%, man. I got a lot to say, and I think you probably have a lot to say too. And just to touch on the millennial thing with ICE is, I think that I'm gonna say something mildly hopeful before we begin
let's
the
yeah,
doom.
let's hear some hope, Devin.
Yeah, before we begin the doom spiral into the things that it could become and the things that it is now. But look, man, this country is full of psychotic people. Like
Yes.
we're all pretty normal generally until certain thresholds are crossed, and most Americans do go sicko mode for one reason or another, and will. And I think that's something that is kind of unchained about this population, and it works against us as much as it
You mean
works
like the
for
ice
us.
population, or
Well, it works on both sides, but I think that the hopeful thing that I'll say is that if you see how much social pressure is being leveraged on ICE now, and they're just kind of doing the thing they said they were going to do. They're doing it in a horrible, brutal way, and they've colored outside the lines now a few times in like really egregious ways that are pissing people off on a global scale and really radicalizing people. But I mean, just generally, like the fact that no matter how well backed by like reason or money or politics something is, nobody's really going to hang out in America and get shouted at in the streets for that long. There is like a tremendous weight that gets levied on things that happen in this country from public opinion, and especially from things like protest and hatred for a movement. Like, there's no movement that most people hate that has been able to survive in America. And I think when I look at a lot of the parallels that it's easy to draw between like ICE and the Gestapo, like literally, right? Like, I mean, if you're like ever were a World War II person, there's a lot of mirroring that's happening in not necessarily in the society, but in the plot points as we're kind of marching towards a stranger version of democracy in this country that's, not fully balanced. But I think that one of the fundamental differences is that in Germany, there was a monoculture, and part of the affect of that monoculture was go along to get along. And that is not a part of our fucking culture
No,
whatsoever. Like,
no. Yeah.
in fact, being an iconoclast and doing shit that's outside and being extra and like all of those things are kind of pitted in the center of our culture. And I do think that it brings me some measure of spiritual reprieve and hope that people are so activated about this. Like, I just saw something this morning where it was like, yeah, like when they come to our neighborhood, we blow the whistles, we honk the horns, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, this is happening all over the United States. And you will not be able to convince people to do this for very long. You'll have to keep paying them more and more and more and more money to get them to do it. And it really is like, we are also in America just social creatures, and we do obey the zeitgeist in a way that I think a lot of countries do not. And so I think that there is a limited air supply in this whole movement for ICE, but it's not tomorrow. It's definitely like, it has enough oxygen to do something dangerous, to explode.
I mean, they are so well funded right now that
Man,
probably realistically they're going to continue to like terrorize the country in certain like city by city at a time
yeah,
until this administration. Oh, I mean, maybe Congress can do something about it if the Dems, win back the Senate or whatever. We'll see.
right.
So maybe their funding can be stopped at some level, but like probably they will just continue to cause chaos because I think that they are a tool for Trump to just have like an underbelly of chaos, so that if he ever needs to, he can use that as his excuse to do like martial law
Whatever
and shit.
it is,
Like it's just like there as a pretext, so that at any given moment, if he just needs to, he can use that as an excuse. And like AOC saying like this is what he's doing, like intention. I don't know if it's like necessarily that. I just think that he likes a little bit of chaos. I mean, he likes a lot of chaos, and he thrives in that environment. And this is just like an easy way for him to like red meat to the base. He probably doesn't even think about it that much. Just kind of like, oh, we're doing this, and then if I ever need to, that's my excuse. That like, look, law enforcement is yeah.
He also idolizes and studies strongmen. Like, that's something that's just very like
his nature recorded. Is to be a strong man. Yeah, I don't even like the word study. I'm just kind of like
publicly,
but yeah.
admires them publicly. I know I never want to give it too much credit, to be completely. But I want to bring you. That brings us to my first soundbite of the day about this, which is I would like a Republican in the comments to explain to me how the fuck an ICE agent gets paid more than a cop. And I really mean that because as is my way, I'm always trying to approach stuff that has this much heat on it from some kind of side, that some angle that actually asks a fundamental question to the other side that is not
how much does ICE
fuck you,
make?
I hate you.
What's the
they first of all, they've been getting these $50,000 signing bonoses.
Yes, I saw that.
And it's generally more than six figures. And so what I'm saying is like, do you know of? There's been experiments that have proven how ready people are to kill someone just by being told to do it. Like $100,000, $150,000 is a life-changing amount of money. Most people would kill someone for that amount of money in cash tomorrow. Most people, I really believe that. And what are we
I
doing in
hope
a
that's not true, man.
it's 100% true. Like the Milgram experiment is such an insane example of how people will do it for free. They'll do it
No,
for,
because there's
they'll
nuance to
submit to
that.
power.
If I'm remembering, because like if you're in the room with a person, you don't chalk them. But like if you're in another room, you do. Like, there's some
True.
hopeful signs in that experiment. Actually, for the details of it, don't quote me.
That's
But
true, but if you didn't have to do it with your bare hands, you just pulled a lever, or or
well,
you
that's
know, or
true.
you were two,
Yeah,
or you're two
totally.
steps, or you're just a half step removed. Oh, I don't know, por
I mean,
ejemplo,
I don't
wearing a
like.
mask, and you know what I
Well, this
mean,
is
like
what I want to say about like that. I want to draw one distinction here. Is that I do
yeah,
not think that the guys who are drawn to ice are your normal average American person. These
no,
guys are like aggro dudes
these
who
are
know
gamers.
that they're hated and they
These are
want to.
fucking gamers, dude.
Yeah,
Like these are first person shooter gamers. I'm a
yeah, oh,
hundred
dude,
percent
yeah.
sure that all of these fucking
Nothing
Officer
against gamers
McChickens.
either, but like these are like aggro
I
dudes
mean,
who
I
love
guess
that thing.
being
Yeah,
a gamer isn't like a fucking personality type. It's like a hobby. But I'm like, yeah,
yeah.
maybe something against certain types of gamers that spend their entire lives kind of, submerged in this world of like tactical thinking and feeling like,
Devin,
y-
do you know what
ah,
is? I'm sorry, I'm doing a little pivot here, but
ah,
do you know what's so annoying and frustrating about this whole thing that
what?
we're even talking about? Is that like there's
What?
nothing even to talk about in terms of like the
Yeah.
scenario. Like imagine if this were like the Alex dude had like actually drawn his gun and then like but it was like, oh, what did he draw the gun? And there was some nuance there and like, oh, did Renee go? Did she turn the car into him to try to? But like
Right.
there's nothing there. These two people were murdered in cold blood, just
Yeah.
fucking murdered for
Right.
no reason,
And not by cops.
and
By
not by
somebody
cops.
by
And
by
the law, these ICE people should have had no reason to engage at all in these situations. Like they escalated beyond belief. It's just insane.
yeah.
So there's nothing even to talk about. It's just kind of like, oh, they murdered somebody. They should go to jail, and we should have nothing to talk about. And the government should be like, could completely save face, just acknowledge reality, and then like they could continue to do the ICE thing, but just be like, we do not harbor the bad ones. Like if you escalate situations and cause harm, you're out. Like that's all they have to say. Then they keep doing the thing, but like
But the
they're
crazy thing is
lying
like
about it.
these guys are not police officers though. Like that's the crazy thing to
Yeah,
me is that
they
like
have no business.
when we give people license to use deadly force in this country, we put them through some stuff.
Right.
You know, we put them through, it's not enough training and it's not consistent enough training. And it does allow bad people to slip through the cracks and become police officers. But it is not a 4-week crash course in how to have an expensive semi-automatic. You know, it's like these guys are not out there with pistols and nightsticks and tasers with a whole schedule of escalation in their head and with a focus on making sure that they're getting the person into custody, right? It's like these guys are full-on Officer McChickens. They're out there with really expensive and state-of-the-art semi-automatic weapons. They have apparently license to use deadly force, and I'm like, in that way, they are very much like the Gestapo at the moment, and it does give me pause because when you are beginning to you think about what it'll do to a guy who's been playing first person shooter games his whole life, give him $100,000 and an unlimited budget to build the gun that he's been using in his video game. He knows what the optics. I just saw this diagram of this ICE officer's gun the other day, and it was like a $10,000 build on an AR platform. And I'm like, yo, dude, you give somebody $100,000 and a $10,000 gun? What is that? Like, just take the story away from it. What is that? That's a mercenary, right? That's functionally a mercenary
Mhm.
because they're not bound by a code of conduct. They're not bound by a department with a chief at the top of it that is levying punishments, or an agency like Internal Affairs that investigates police departments when they're doing. I'm not saying any of these systems are 100% effective, but like we're going to let people on the streets and strip away all of these protections for normal for people in this country. Like I just somebody make it make sense to me from a Republican point of view, where I'm like,
Well,
what
this is one thing I
what's
want to
the
talk about a little
argument?
bit. Yeah, I want to get into some of the excuses people are making
Mm,
for ICE.
mm-hmm.
And I'm particularly interested in the people who are allegedly leftists or centrists, but
Uh-huh.
they're creating all these elaborate apologies. So this is gonna be like a whirlwind of some of my like top most people who irritate me. But
Yeah.
so do you remember Michael Schellenberger? Do you remember this guy?
I feel like I know the name.
I actually interviewed him one time for this Quillette article when he was running for California governor.
Mm-hmm.
And, pleasant guy, fun to talk to, has some like, ideas that are a little bit off the wall in like a fun way. And
Mm-hmm.
he's like, champion of reason, that sort of shit. But he's become like increasingly unhinged and like insane as he's just like,
Oh,
because his
wonderful.
shtick is, and this is like a world now online of having this shtick of like, no matter what happens, the story always is the Democrats are bad, and here's why. Just
Sure.
like there's like the Dave Smiths that like whatever happens globally, America is bad, and here's why. It was like even if
Right.
America has nothing to do with it, like
Sure.
there's this brand of this for like the Democrats, and
Mm-hmm.
so he tweeted. And apparently, I did not read his full article, but he tweeted this in the aftermath of the Alex Preddy shooting. He said, most of the debate since yesterday has focused, understandably, on whether the ICE agent acted in what he perceived to be self defense. Whatever the case, it's clear that by encouraging people to interfere in law enforcement operations, the left is getting people killed.
Mm.
So, as long as we, like you and me,
Yeah.
as the left, are encouraging people to interfere in
Yeah.
quote law enforcement operations, like it's hard even to
Yeah.
read this with a straight face. The left is getting people killed. Like there are so many things that are just like wrong with this. As like this is your analysis. Like really, let me pass this to you and see if you have any thoughts before I
You know
go
what's
off on
crazy
mine.
is that this is probably the only area where I have any kind of nuance in my opinion on this stuff, which I don't think the left is getting people killed. I do think these people are getting themselves killed in a certain way, and not to say that they deserved it, should have been in a situation that was within any bound of reason, this would have been de-escalated, none of that stuff. But I think that there has to be some somatic level of awareness that if you are going to become confrontational with somebody in a bulletproof vest and an AR, and there's a whole group of them, and I mean, it's just like you do take your life into your own hands at that moment. Like there is no actual boots on the ground reality of the moment in which you are safe because they shouldn't kill you or they shouldn't do this or they shouldn't do that. Like we know enough about these folks. It's like there's a lot of systems for trying to help people safely. And one of the things that does happen is when folks become physical with these officers, like man, that it does damage to everything generally. Like it is not helpful in any way, because when somebody, there's always somebody that's going to push it a little too far. There's going to be ICE agents that are going to do it, there's going to be protesters that are going to do it, but that person does so much damage to their own side because there is just so many fucking ways to make this happen without putting your hands on somebody or putting your body in the way of people with automatic weapons, man. And it's like they're not law enforcement though. That's the part, man, that always really pisses me off, where they call it a law enforcement
Mm-hmm.
operation. Like these people are on the same schedule as like customs agents, right? Like, these are federal employees. These are not law enforcement. This is not a law enforcement action. This is like a weird gray area that's being expanded into a paramilitary and militia style group of people that's doing like things that are cosplaying as law enforcement, but technically are not.
Yeah, I mean that nuance you throw in there, like I agree with that. Like technically, I think that like if I were part of a protest, I would be like, and I like the most civil person ever in the universe,
There's
and
all
like I
kinds
would,
of shit you can do. There's
yeah,
all kinds of shit that
100%.
you can
But
do.
like at the same time, if the government is doing some tyrannical shit,
You would hope
the
people would
other
put their
side
body on the
should
line. Yeah.
encourage people to go out and protest. Like
Oh,
as
for sure.
Americans, like we are a pro protest
Oh
culture
yeah, big
society, like
time.
fundamentally, and we want to be that because we're,
Yeah,
democracy, etc.
but you
And
gotta
to
be.
say, to blame the people who are being like, let's go out and protest this tyrannical shit, to blame them for the
Mm-hmm.
tyrannical shit is
Yeah.
like, it's like that is gaslighting in the most like egregious way. It's like, no, like criticize the people doing tyrannical shit so that we don't have to protest, so that everyone's fine and chill. And like, because you can always do this, like whenever, like whoever the bad guy is in any movie, just like pick a fucking movie like the Joker or whatever. It's just kind of like, well, you know what, Batman wouldn't have like, hurt this other person who now just fell out of a building, if we hadn't like encouraged Batman to be the good guy. It was like, but he's a fucking good guy. The Joker's a bad guy. The whole conversation should be about the Joker because he's the bad guy trying to ruin the city.
Right.
Like not
Right.
Batman trying to save the city. So yeah, it literally is what I always come back to this. Like I like doing the analysis, like a movie analysis. And like Michael Schellenberger is rooting for the bad guy effectively, and he's
Yeah.
blaming Batman rather than the
Yeah.
Joker.
Yeah.
You know
A
what I mean?
hundred
It's like,
percent.
think about that for a second, Michael Schellenberger. Like, think about what we're doing here.
It's insane, man. It's like it's a very easy little slippery slope to get drawn down, I think, where you're like because it is kind of like a car insurance thing where you're like, well, if you get hit by somebody and it's their fault, but you didn't have insurance, it's your fault because you shouldn't have been on the road because you don't have insurance. And it's like there's this little kind of loop of logic that you can access in people because they're familiar with things that kind of work like that. But you're right. When it comes to tyranny, when it comes to people being murdered in the street for any reason whatsoever, like the conversation has to center around the function of power in this country. And the function of power in this country is to fucking keep people safe because fucking people are animals, dude.
Yeah,
You
exactly.
know,
Okay,
like
well, I want to talk about
fuck.
one more. This will be fun. Another take that Republicans and apologists are bringing up
Yeah.
is that the dude shouldn't have had a gun on him.
Yeah, I mean, interesting. I mean,
And
there's
okay,
something
I want
there.
to I want to start with my spiel. This will be fun because I'm like insanely anti-gun, and you're like more pro-gun. You're more like
Yeah.
you represent the average American view, and I'm just kind of like fuck guns, like
Yeah.
wholesale.
Yeah.
But like, okay, I agree.
Yeah.
Don't bring a gun to a protest. It's insane. But like,
Yeah.
also, this like all the people remotely saying that, they're all kind of Republicans, and they're all these people that don't bring a gun to the
They're idiots
protest as
too,
the
though.
people who bring the guns to the protests.
They're idiots too, though. It's like you don't there's like rules around being a gun owner that are just pretty common sense, which is like you don't bring a gun somewhere unless you think you might have to use it. First of all, ever. You don't need to just bring it wherever you are.
This is why I think guns are just dumb, because you don't
Yeah.
need a gun anywhere. You just don't. This is why we
There's
have
places where you need a
police.
gun.
I've never, in my whole entire life, and I'm 40 years old, I've never
Yeah.
once been in a place where I would have been better off with a gun. And I've been everywhere, every
Yeah.
fucking where. I would never, ever, ever would I have been better off with a gun, ever. I
Well,
find it so hard to imagine. If I
not
were
to
like in the
litigate the
woods, okay, sometimes when I used to go into the woods all the time, I probably should have had a gun when
yeah.
like bears were around, like low-key
Yeah.
legit. But like
Yeah, yeah.
also, I know what to, I know signs of bears or whatever. I wouldn't, yeah, I don't know, etc.
You don't bring a gun unless you think you're going to have to use a gun. And you don't take a gun out unless you're 100% sure you're going to use it. But that all of those things are predicated on the idea that you've prepared yourself to take a human life as you're walking out your front door in the morning. And it's like, I don't know, man. There's just not a lot of scenarios I can think of in any kind of daily normal life situation, even something as extreme as a protest, where you're taking a firearm to do anything other than to take a human life that day. And
So
maybe
what do
you
you
think you're
think
going to
about,
protect yourself or something like that, but like you're putting everybody in danger around you. And this is the one thing I want to say, and it
Mhm.
is actually a super hot take, which is that both people on both sides people are cosplaying like they are
Yes,
going to be the fucking hero after they've worked
yes.
an 8-hour day at Office Max. And I'm like, Officer McChicken in the ICE uniform, it ain't you. And like librarian from Kentucky, it also ain't you. Like there's a lot of ways to cohere ourselves as a group in resistance that are not you thinking you're the main character of this story and charging into this role of a hero when like nobody that's not the brief. That's
So
not
you're
that's not how this
you're
fucking works, man.
you're talking way too reasonable here, Devin. Because
Dude, I
sadly,
know.
you're
People are
you're
gonna
being the
hate
voice.
that.
You're being the voice of reason. But the fact is that's so aggravating is that we all do. I mean, we, not me and you, but we
Maybe me,
collectively
I
as
don't
a,
know.
as a country,
Okay, I have a little bit of main
we
character
all do.
syndrome.
We all cosplay like so hard in this country. We're so
Yeah,
good at, like, look at these motherfuckers I have up on the screen. The MAGA
it's so
people
funny.
who like protested.
Look at all the goatee beards.
Yeah, it's like, but like they're all doing the cosplay thing, and
Yeah,
I'm pointing out the hypocrisy of the pro gun people who are all about, like, they believe like religiously that yes, you should take a gun to the protest because you are
yeah,
protesting the maniacal government trying to steal your rights, bro. And so of course you're going to take a gun to the thing because you don't want the government taking your rights. You're going to
right,
fight for
right,
your rights. That shit.
right.
These people, those people are like, well, he had a gun on him. It's like, yeah, okay, you people,
It's
y'all,
really easy for
y'all
people
got this
like
story
that
backwards.
to split the hair down to the neutron, where it's like where they're like, well, but I take my gun to like flex, and he was obviously taking it to like hurt someone. I'm like, oh, come on, man. You're never taking a gun out of the house if you haven't considered what you're gonna do with it. It's heavy. As a person who owns guns, and as a person who is like open carried a gun in a national park for bears and shit, but in Montana, it's like you put that thing on your hip, man. It weighs a lot. It doesn't just weigh a lot physically, it weighs a lot spiritually. And I don't think there's almost any amount of numb you can get to the fact that it's a killing machine when you take it out of the house with you, man. So it's like, I don't know, man. If folks are normalizing that, I think I think there's a lot of scenarios in which it is like acceptable and or appropriate to do that. But man, yeah, it makes it more complicated for everybody. You put everybody's life in danger when you take a firearm to a peaceful protest. You know what I'm saying? Like
I no, I
there's a
completely
high
agree.
bar.
Yeah,
There's a high bar for being an activist, man. And everybody, I think so many people have gotten tricked into slacktivism through the internet and believing that all at once they can rise to the occasion and change the day. And it's like, no, man, it's a decade. It's a decade of hard work that it takes to turn the ship around from something that you don't like to see. And that counts for you personally, and that also counts for the country as a whole, man. It takes several cycles of your constant engagement. You are not going to be able to go from doing your daily fucking life to being the hero that stops everything from happening from one moment to the next, man. You have to be really pitted in this shit.
okay, so I this was actually my third topic that I was going to bring up, that
Okay.
I
Okay.
am also like primed to very much critique, and I think I'm going to like be the one
Okay.
who critiques it. It's kind
Okay.
of the argument that you're making though. So I want to
Oh.
like read this to you and see if you agree with it, or if you, because
Uh-huh.
I'm like we live in a country where you totally can open carry to a protest. You and like express your fucking rights because they're there.
Sure.
So do it, even if it's not prudent. Like you have
Very few
every right
people
to
have
do
ever
it.
gotten shot that
You
way
should
too,
never
by the
be
way.
killed by your own government by expressing
Never.
your rights that the government
No, no,
adamantly
no.
like gives to you, and that
Yeah.
so many Republicans fight for. That's not a reason for the government to kill you. So but anyway, let me read you this tweet, and I want to see if you agree or disagree just off the cuff.
Peter,
So
my
this
resident
is
Twitter lord.
this is our boy Michael Shermer, who I do enjoy,
Shermer.
and I've met him, and I like the guy.
Okay.
But every now and then he comes out with these just like god
Old
awful
Michael
takes. This to
Sherbert.
me is one. Although let's just see. You can convince me otherwise, but let's just see. Dude, people hate this take too online. Everyone's like hating on him so hard for this. But let's see. So he says, even if everything you say here is true, although premeditated hard to prove. He took a big risk putting himself in the middle of an ICE raid with a loaded gun. What if the agent snaps or mistakes phone for a gun or mishears her gun to mean he was in danger?
Uh-huh.
Irresponsible. So this is the take that like a lot of people pounce down, but it kind of is your take, right? Like, what do you think?
It's interesting because I do parse like the sense of personal responsibility that you should have to protecting your own life, and like also the sense of responsibility you should have to advancing the cause of the thing that you're passionate about. Both of those things would preclude you from doing that, from like rushing into a physical altercation with people with a loaded gun strapped to you. That's some bomb vest behavior, dude. Like that is crazy to do from a personal
Didn't
level.
he have the gun?
It doesn't negate the insanity of a fucking extra legal
Yeah.
force murdering, like emptying a magazine. And it just let me just pop on that one real quick, because that is something that has really stood out to me, is how many times this guy got shot. It's because it's not
Oh
fucking
God.
law
I
enforcement, dude.
know.
It's not
Yeah.
law enforcement. It is literally Mountain Dew. It is Mountain Dew Cheetos motherfuckers that are out there terrified because people are screaming at them for the first
Yeah.
time in their lives. They're dealing with actual fucking combat scenario, dude, and they're terrified and they're reacting entirely out of fear. Like,
Yes.
gun, gun, gun. These fucking pussies were so terrified by the concept that someone other than them would have a gun that they
So they just
emptied
started
a
shooting.
fucking
Yeah.
magazine
10
into
shots.
this
Yeah.
dude that's
Two people
lying
shooting,
on
and I
the
think it was 10 shots.
ground.
And
It's insane.
this like isn't actually a terrible take. When Destiny was watching this, I was watching Destiny's live stream. His initial take, which like I don't think is terrible, was that it looked kind of low key like the guy shot once, realized it was a mistake, and then kept shooting to like overcompensate, to be like, there must really be some shit happening here because look how many times I'm shooting. But like it looked like it, and this actually seemed kind of true as it's fair reading. It looked like the guy shot by accident and then was like, oh fuck, now I have to keep shooting. And then the other guy started shooting. And it's like it's fucking insane on every level. And yeah, a trained person would not do any of that shit. So
None of
everything
that
about it is just
stuff.
like so
But
wrong. Yeah.
we have that same problem in policing in this country too, where a lot of our police officers don't know how to do something like jujitsu or a martial art that would bring you to a
Okay, Joe
calmer
Rogan.
place. I mean, but for real though, it's
No, no,
like
I agree. I agree.
fucking like the ability to keep yourself calm in a chaotic and life endangering situation is functionally the number one skill anybody that's dealing with like people who have guns is going to have. And why is that not the thing? I just keep coming back to this, man. Why are we paying these fucking people so much fucking money when there's police on the streets that are actually keeping people safe on a day to day, that are getting paid half this much, man? That are actually dealing with
So
criminals every day. This is supposed to be on the schedule of like, you go to the fucking airport with a bottle of rum from the Dominican Republic and they like take it out of your suitcase. That's the level of enforcement that we need this group of people to be at. Like literally not having fucking guns. You're
so
not dealing with criminals, man. You're dealing with people, with immigrants. Like it's already fucked up enough in the first place that you want to fucking round all these people up and take them somewhere. But at the end of the day, man, like the reality is you're not fucking charging into cartel houses like the last Netflix movie, dude. You're fucking like accosting women and children at schools. You're pulling people out of fucking parking lots. I mean, like somebody do a press conference with a bunch of dudes from fucking MS-13 or something. You feel me? Like somebody do a press conference where they busted a house that had 10,000 pounds of cocaine in it or something. But we don't see any of that shit because it's not what's happening, man.
mhm. Yeah, Eric Swalwell, who's running for governor in California, he had a little campaign video thing today where he said that like if he's governor of California, he's going to make it the case that like if you join ICE, you can never work for the government in any other job ever again, and like all these
Yeah.
like penalties just for like even associate. But like my take is that like I mean sure like I agree whatever, but like I kind of think low key if you're a like a hyper lib normie person, you should join ICE. You should get the high paycheck. and then be a good person and de-escalate situations. And I think I forget who was saying this. I think
Interesting.
maybe someone on the Bulwark podcast was saying that like all like the all the gay dudes who like have never in like South Florida or whatever, they should all join ICE and then just kind of like make it a party and like not harm anybody and like know who is illegal and just like let them pass. Yeah, just like because
But
like I don't
you
know, an institution is the people that work there, and right now they're openly asking for hardcore normie gamer Republican bros, and it's kind of like you can subvert the system just by like not being that and joining.
It's a lot of
Some do it.
it's a lot of school shooters, dude. You
Yeah,
know what I'm
yeah.
saying? It's a lot of people who were this close to
Oh
shooting up a
God.
school. It's a lot of guys that are really frustrated with how hard it is to date women. It's a lot of dudes who spend 12 hours on fucking Call of Duty and then another 4 hours on Reddit and 4chan. It's a lot of these dudes, man. And you know what scares the shit out of me is that we've been talking about these dudes on this podcast for as long as we've been doing this podcast.
Yes.
And it is actually somebody, of course, it would be someone like Trump who just has this instinctual awareness of vulnerability that would seize upon this group of men that is like really disenfranchised right now, man. And you can say that it's for good reason or not good reason. It doesn't really fucking matter. What really matters is that, holy shit, somebody found the ripcord to access this whole generation of disenfranchised men, pay them a bunch of money and put guns in their hands, man. These people don't have allegiance. Like, I guess, look, Karen and I gamed this out the other day where we're talking about like, well, what happens, right? If ICE really becomes like a militia, like a guerrilla force in the United States, where that could easily happen. It doesn't have to be about immigration. These people all eat and work and live together now.
Oh, it's barely about immigration already.
It's barely about immigration already, man. And the fact is that this country has enough military and police of people that really do actually believe in what this country is about, that I don't think it would be it would be a problem, but I don't think it would do something that would change the state of this country. But if we had an embedded guerrilla force and it wasn't necessarily a civil war, but it was a militia war, like that's something that is really easy for me to imagine when I think about the type of men that are in ICE, that are going to join up for something like this. They're cringe lords, man. It's like a bunch of guys that don't mind being hated. And I'm like,
I
man,
want
that's
to
not people.
I want to pivot to a lighter topic to close out the day. But
No,
before we get there,
absolutely not.
I want to get your
I'm
your
enraged.
prediction on the darkest of dark topics.
Ah,
Do you think
darker
before
than
Trump's
this?
presidency is over,
Yeah.
do you think there's going to be a shootout between like local police forces and ICE? Do you think that's because I feel like it's already almost there? Do you think that that could happen?
We're gonna have a series of these dudes getting fucking smoked walking into somebody's house. I fucking feel it in my bones, man. Cause
Whoa.
like, come on, man. It doesn't. It's only gonna take one time where they're gonna pop through someone's door to try to find somebody, and some dude's gonna be standing there, and a couple of those motherfuckers are gonna get smoked, man. And like, that's gonna be enough.
That will be so. If
That's
that
gonna.
happens, that would be so bad. Not as bad as a shootout with the cops.
It's gonna
That's my
happen.
nightmare scenarios
It's
when like
gonna
if cops
happen.
start shooting. But
Like, it's gonna happen. Like, if, look, man, bust up in this house, motherfuckers. we'll put you, we'll put the fucking theory to the test, man. I mean, I think there's enough people that are fed up enough with the concept of it that are fucking gun owners too, man. One of these guys is gonna get fucking smoked doing the wrong thing, and it's gonna radicalize both sides, man.
okay, definitely getting too dark. Okay, we're gonna do it.
Too dark.
We're gonna do a light topic now, Devin. And this is everyone's.
Squirrel.
We're gonna
Did you hear about the squirrel on water
we're gonna
skis?
guys, we're gonna all come together and do a big hug on everyone's favorite
Oh,
politician.
please. What's it gonna be?
Everyone's favorite politician. Let me see if I can find this. Here we go.
Gavin Newby.
Oh, there's our man. There's our guy.
Erstwhile Gotham City Mayor,
Yeah, the
uh,
Gotham City
Gotham
mayor,
City
maybe
Mayor
Batman.
and Gotham City Mayor and former bird Gavin Newsom. Look at the beak.
He's
Look at
got
the
the face
beak.
of like every movie villain, almost
Uh
maybe sort of
huh.
like certain movie heroes if it's a right sort of like
Not with
I
that
don't.
slick back hair. That is just pure slicking back the hair on all sides is
You're
diabolical,
right.
Peter. There's no, that
Who
is
was the lead character's name? I mean, who did Christian Bale play in American Psycho? Was he the bad guy or the good guy? Because he gives off Christian Bale kind of bad guy, I guess, right?
I you
He was
know,
the protagonist, so there you go.
yeah, the slicked back hair for me, I'm like, this was a poor choice. He's obviously got to stick with it now. But oof, baby.
Okay, so here is the topic, Devin. Here's the topic for discussion.
Yeah.
Serious topic. I do want to talk
Okay.
about this because Gavin Newsom was just at Davos.
He did something really funny there that I really liked. Go
The
ahead.
the knee pads, right?
Yeah, come on, man. You can hate the guy all you want, but he's giving out Trump branded knee pads. Come on, man. Like, what
So
staffer? I want to know what staffer came up with that, and I need them to be writing on Netflix shows
one sec, guys. One
tomorrow.
sec.
Guys, Trump branded knee pads is so insane and so delightful because it really does feel like that sometimes, doesn't it? It feels like folks are just strapping on the knee pads when they get up in the morning. They're just ready to do the job.
Hey man, sorry to leave you hanging. We had an emergency
It's
where my daughter
okay.
had to pump up her ball, and
I
I'm in the
had to
garage.
I had a soliloquy direct to Cam.
Nice. Ah, damn, I missed it. Okay, well let's
Yeah.
get back to the serious topic at hand. Okay. So at Davos, there was this take after the fact that
Yeah.
Trump won Davos. This was that historian guy's God.
Wow, what a weird
Am
take.
I
Everybody was
blanking on his
panning
name
his like
too?
weird dementia like coded like ramble speech. How do people pull like literally black and white out of these things, man? It's crazy.
Yeah, I want to pull up that article and maybe talk about it for a second. 'Cause that was part of this take I wanted to give. It was Neil Ferguson. Here's the article. Trump won won Davos. So there's like this kind of like argument going on online, like who won Davos. Everyone's
Mhm.
calling Neil Ferguson like an utter moron for his take.
Mhm.
His argument is like bad, but there's something to it. But the other take is that Scott Galloway, who was at Davos, was saying that when he was there, everybody was just following Newsom around. Everybody, like every news
Yeah.
reporter, like every like important person, just like wherever Gavin went, there were just like, cute, mega crowd of people. And
Yeah.
so, like, everyone wants to know because, like, Gavin is like the anti Trump as like
Sure.
representing America at Davos.
Yeah.
And so there are like these forces. And this is kind of what's so interesting about Gavin Newsom is he is intentionally or not, I think definitely intentionally, like the foil to Trump. The problem is
He's
that he just
positioned
comes with
himself
all
as
this
such
baggage.
recently. I feel he's
Yeah.
positioned himself in this way recently where he was not this 5 years ago or 10 years ago. But in the last couple of years, he's really taken to mirroring the kind of like, fuck you, like, wet willy in the ear kind of Trump, jokey, memey, fuck you energy, which I don't know. Maybe it is. I don't know that Democrats are as hungry for that as Republicans are. So I don't. That might be a little bit of a tactical misstep, but we shall find out. Most people are infants. Most people are delighted by like those acts of like petty cruelty and maliciousness. So maybe it will work.
So I want to talk about Newsom's record and what you
Yeah.
think that how that bodes for his campaign
Yeah.
because this is the ultimate. Okay, like maybe the
He's
slick back
very
hair doesn't
attackable.
necessarily help, but I think like his looks are actually a positive for him. Like unironically, I think that is a plus.
Sure.
Minus the slick back hair, but yeah, still.
Yeah. Old white guy. Yes, that's that
But
we have a type.
his record actually is a legit. I don't know that really brings him down. I think.
I think so too. Yeah.
What specifically? If you, without going through this article, which we definitely can, but like, what do you think?
I think that California has been broken in very specific ways for about 10 years. And living here and from outside of California, objectively, nothing has changed. And that's like pre-COVID, coming all the way through the big social movements of the 2020, like early 2020s, into like what is perhaps like the relative stability of where we are now. Like, we're dealing with the same issues as a state that we were dealing with 10 years ago, and it is way more expensive. Like housing, homelessness, affordability,
Hmm.
social cohesion. Like not, I don't, at least colloquially in my experience, we have experienced zero improvement in any of those conditions in 10 years. And that a lot of that is under his guidance, I guess. I mean, maybe it's a, yeah.
Yeah, let me just read this from his article since I have it
Yeah.
pulled up.
Mm,
During his tenure, the state has been a laboratory for some of the Democratic Party's most politically fraught policies and instincts,
true.
which has left it less affordable and more culturally radical than it used to be. His
Yeah.
record not only
Mm,
raises pressing questions about how effectively he could govern as president, it
mm-hmm.
also provides opponents an endless buffet of vulnerabilities across social and economic issues. I think that that's kind
Yeah.
of a nice summary of kind of everything because it's two prongs. It's like the social shit that no one
Yeah.
likes, and then it's
Yeah.
number two, which is economics and like
Yeah.
affordability.
He seems
So
reactive. And that's something that I hear in that. It's like he's a kind of a reactive politician rather than like a vision guided politician.
this
That's
is
what it
this is
feels
the
like.
yeah, I mean, yes, but like this is actually where I want to maybe push back on this a little bit. So here's like Matt Iglesias's take would be my take if I hadn't seen him give it first.
Mm-hmm.
But you can call it reactive, which it is, but it also might just be that he is tactful and he does listen and he knows where the country is
Sure.
heading. And that's
Yeah.
like not a bad thing to be like, oh, this is not resonating. Let's do this instead. This
Politics
is
as
this is
usual.
what I think in any other realm of life, people count that as a positive. When for
Yeah.
whatever reason, when politicians do it, they say that it's like a grifty move. I think
Because
it
it
actually
does
is
it
smart.
because it
I
it's
wish right now,
disingenuous.
well,
Yeah,
no,
go
hold
ahead.
on. Like that's what people say. This is where I actually
Yeah.
I want politicians to actually do this though. So I want to
Yeah.
get away from blaming them when they do it. Like right now,
Yeah.
if our Lord and Savior Donald Trump said, "Oh shit, I'm underwater on ice," it's pulling at like
Mm-hmm.
30% positive, and like
Yeah.
everybody hates this.
Yeah.
Maybe I should do something different and say, "I'm sorry, I took that path. Here's a new path."
Yeah.
That's what Gavin Newsom has been doing the last 2 years. I want to like say, dude, good job. Do more of that rather than like, oh no, you should still be sticking to your terrible policies that have ruined the state. So what do you think about that?
It's hard because I feel like leadership is very related to vision. And it is hard to have respect for the political
Yeah.
class in this country when it feels like there's a visionlessness that lends itself to getting kind of just lapped by the tides of people's, it's 4 years and then I guess we'll just do another four and kind of see where it's at. And I think that's why Mamdani is so electrifying to people because he's got a vision and
Yes.
it's been really crystallized
Easy
and
to do
it's
when you have no history.
100%. Although it is easy to do if you just want to stand on the things that you're about and not feel the gravity of needing to be a political animal that gives and takes. Like there is some necessity for hard line leadership and vision, especially from the Democratic side. Like the Republicans don't really struggle with that much.
Yeah, no, that's actually a really good point. I do want to say one thing about Gavin that isn't said often enough in this regard is that he does double down to things he truly believes in.
True. I
So
like it.
when
Yeah.
he was talking, let me just throw out one example here. When he was talking to Ezra Klein, Ezra was like getting after him for saying that his state gives healthcare to immigrants.
Mm-hmm.
And Gavin Newsom said, listen, and this was such a good answer. I'm like, I kind of wish everybody would hear this and not be brain dead and like realize this is a good answer. He
Yeah.
said that if we're going to be a country that has incoherent immigration laws and a lot of people come here,
Mm.
it is on that's we're it's they're here. We have to give them healthcare. We're going to pay
Yeah.
for it one way or the other. Even if we
Yeah.
don't give
Well,
them
that's
healthcare,
true.
they're going to be in the ER. We're going to end up paying
That's
for it
right.
anyway. And it's like if that's going to be the policy, then the consequence of that is that we need to be humane to people. That was
Right.
such a good, legit answer. And he's like, by the way, I want to fix immigration. And I think that we have had
Right.
incoherent policies and let's do something about that. But like when people come in, I'm sorry, we are a humane country and a rich country. We're going to help people out and get them on their feet and make them productive, hopefully citizens down the road. Such
Yeah.
a good fucking answer, such an American answer, something that
That's
like
right.
everybody should be stoked about that. And he wasn't like, oh my God, oh, we did like he didn't do like the pivoty thing that people like they said like the wishy-washy thing. He's like doubling down on that. It's like, that's good. I respect the hell out of that, you know?
I also like that when I see him on interviews, he's pissed. And I think
Yes.
that's something that we really need to learn on the kind of on the liberal end. It's like it's not rage. It's not blind rage. He's just angry. And like there has to be a spectrum of that that you can access that is not every single thing that happens that you feel like cuts against your grain pushes you into this unreasonable rage. It's like you have to be able to have a level of anger that informs conscious aggressive decision making but doesn't turn you into a conflict driven animal. And that's like the big problem on the left right now is that people get so incensed by things that they lose any sense of tactic about, getting that the thing that they're angry about actually accomplished. And that's like the kind of realism that we need to have on the left, that we need to have in this country, that there isn't really any room for like frenzied screaming. Nobody gives a fuck about what you're screaming about. Like
Mhm.
literally, man. Like you gotta. There's a. It's it there. Charlie Kirk is a great example of how people can get a pretty wild message across by just kind of hammering it in a more or less, even tempered way. I mean, he's like said a lot of things that were absolutely patently false and hateful and really like spanned the gamut, but got so many people on his side partially because he just kind of hammered it in a reasonable way over and over, made himself present for conversation around it that wasn't so insane, it wasn't so emotionally constructed and laden. And I'm like, there's room for that, right? That's what pop culture is for. If you want to scream at something, you can go do it on a TV show or on a podcast. But like in politics and in protest, there has to be a tactical mindset that is related to getting the job done, not just getting it off your chest. You don't, nobody needs you to get it off your chest. We need you to get the job done, and the job is dismantling these wild power structures that are emerging before our very eyes. And it's not going to happen tonight at a fucking protest, man. It's going to happen over the next 10 years. You got to put pressure on the wound.
Well, bring that back to Gavin. I actually got lost in the.
I feel like it's just the anger, the righteous anger that we have a necessity to possess on the left that is reasonable enough to make you focused, but not strong enough to make you wild. And that's
Do
the
you
thing that
think
I
that
like
when
about
Gavin
him.
Newsom, yeah, when he like goes
He's
harder against
pissed.
Trump than anybody else, that's a good thing,
Yeah.
right? Like I'm
Yeah.
because
And
like
in a
so many people
smart way.
try to do that,
Yeah.
and it's just kind of like it is sorry, it's just fucking cringe,
Yeah,
very
well, they
cringe.
hate him and they hate
But
him
like
as a
Gavin is like
cartoon
funny about
character.
it and like tactical about it,
Yeah.
and it
Yeah.
works,
It
and it
works.
infuriates the Trump base in a way
It
that
does.
nothing else infuriates them when people
Right.
criticize Trump.
Right.
Because like when people criticize them, like anybody else criticizes Trump, they're just like, oh, you're not based, you don't get it. But when Gavin
Right.
criticizes Trump, they're like furious, and that means that he's
Yeah.
doing something right there. And
I
this
think
is
so.
just one more point here, just to bring it up. I just think this is kind of interesting. Is that like political just headline here? Politico admit it. Gavin Newsom is a 2028 front runner. Article goes through some reasons why, and
We
this is
knew
just
that,
like
guys.
it's just true, right? Like,
Yeah.
and there's a reason why he's a front runner.
I'm not thrilled about
And
that, but it's okay.
no, I'm not either. But
Yeah.
like, people should take note of what he's doing, and it
Yeah.
is just like calling shit out
Yeah.
and coming from a place of like real rage, like you're
Yeah.
saying, and
Yep.
actually also, I mean, like truly having the credentials to just be the next president, because
Sure.
I don't want another person like, and I love Andrew Yang, I'm sorry, we don't need somebody like that. And I don't even think we necessarily need Pete Buttigieg, somebody who just like, we need somebody who is a governor. Like governors always do pretty
Yeah.
well so like if it were like Ron DeSantis versus Gavin Newsom, that would be like our country being in a really good place just objectively, because it's like two people who have like semi-successfully run very huge states,
Right.
and like they represent different constituencies, and like meeting in the middle is like what moves our country forward, like objectively. That's what we kind of need. I don't know if we need someone just like,
I agree.
I don't even know like we definitely don't need JD Vance, like another ideologue. I just don't want another ideologue, whether it's
We
like
also don't need like
AOC
an
either. I don't want
I
her.
was
Like she's
just gonna I was
way
like
too much of an
we
ideologue.
just don't need an AOC. We don't need someone that's kind of new to the game. We don't need somebody that's old to the game either. And it's like we also need to stop pretending that there's not a shitload of people in between that range of like ideologues that were just doing a completely politically unrelated job, fucking like, you know, less than a decade ago, and also people that have been politicians for 60 plus
Yes.
years.
Yeah,
Like there's a
totally.
nice big chunk of people in the middle there that are learning and have learned how to control municipalities, state level logistics. Like the levers of power that are available to a president are pretty advanced. And it's part of the reason why Trump makes himself look like a fucking idiot every time he's in, you know, the times that he's been in office, because he's just not a person that's capable of understanding that level of logistics, man. He's not a manager of anything. He's tip of the spear for business shit, which is basically just being a figurehead. He's like a Japanese emperor, man. Like he doesn't do, you know, he's like he gets to be like the big pig and like say the pithy thing, but at the end of the day, he's not carrying out operations on anything that's ever happening in any of his businesses. You know, maybe he'll dote on it for 5 minutes, you know, once a year,
He
but
apparently is taking a lot of time and effort to build that uh ballroom. That's what he's taking a lot of his personal time to do. So yeah.
he's
Yeah,
gonna get
he's got his
impeached,
priorities.
man.
He's got his
He's
priorities.
gonna get impeached. They're gonna get him this time on something, man, because he's just wiling out in a way that is so weird and pathetic. And people, I mean, those they
The
gotta put.
letter about to was Sweden that didn't even make
Oh
any sense, where
God.
he's just like, because I didn't get the Nobel Peace Prize, I'm taking Greenland, and the who I'm writing this letter to, you have nothing to do with that, but like I'm gonna pretend like it's your fault. That whole thing is just,
They better
that
start.
alone was like, whoa, 25th Amendment, hello, what's up?
We got to start sending those knee pads out nationwide, dude, because my soliloquy when you were gone is that it really does feel like people wake up in the morning and strap those bad boys on without even having heard what he's said or he's going to do today. They're like, "Well, I just believe in him." And I'm like, "What? Why? Why, man? You don't have to. There's a lot of other options here. There's people
Daddy
who are
issues.
fighting for your values, you know, no matter what your values are in this country, there's people who are actually fighting for those values. Donald Trump is not one of them. He's a totally solipsistic character. He's not fighting for you. He's fighting for himself. He's fighting for money for him. You
Yes.
know, like there's no ulterior motive that is like in any way related to any kind of people other than the people outside of his circle. Come on, people, wake up. Wake up, sheeple.
All right. Well, I gotta bounce.
All right,
But
buddy.
good talks, Devin. Man,
Good
weird
talks,
world these
Pete.
days.
Come on, man.